Welcome, boys and girls. Costine here with a discussion about some of the best armored vehicles available for the United States at the moment in Broken Arrow. Starting at number 5 with the M2A4 AMPV. In real life, what the AMPV is a turretless Bradley. And of course, this being America, they've decided, well, maybe we could add a Bushmaster on it anyway, and a Javelin as well. So the benefit of an AMPV versus a Bradley is the following. It does have more troop carrying capacity than a Bradley, which can be useful if you're looking to transport certain number of troops to the battlefield. Otherwise, it's roughly the same level of protection, roughly the same level of armor, a bit less in terms of sight range, and it does not have the same ammunition as a Bradley, because a Bradley has 7 toes, and it actually can get more than 7 toes with certain versions of it, though not necessarily the ones that you're going to be seeing right here. But still, just worth pointing it out with regards to the difference between the AMPV and the Bradley. It is a bit more expensive than the Bradley, and it does have some downsides, but if you're looking for an IFV that can also transport a decent number of troops to the front line, you might use an AMPV. Personally, I'm a bigger fan of the Bradley in a lot of different situations, but that's because of some of the variants that the Bradley does have. At number 4, we have the M8 Thunderbolt, America's light tank that it never adopted. You know, you look at the M10 Booker versus the M8 Thunderbolt, maybe America should have really adopted the M8 Thunderbolt as opposed to trying to adopt the Booker and then just that not working out in a lot of different ways. So the M8 Thunderbolt is kind of ridiculous when you're thinking about it from a tank perspective. Yes, it doesn't have the same level of protection as an M10 Booker in certain ways, but it does have some pretty substantial advantages compared to the M10 Booker, or one very substantial advantage. So the M10 Booker has a 105mm gun. The M8 Thunderbolt has a 120mm gun that you can install on it. You can also use the 105mm gun, but you understand the point. It's also cheaper. It's one of the cheapest and most effective tanks for its cost in a game at the moment, because it does have a main gun that, well, realistically is as good as what you have on an Abrams in certain ways. Of course, again, there's going to be downsides compared to an Abrams, ammo capacity, protection capacity, all that kind of stuff. But between having active protection systems, between having a 120mm gun, and also having more speed than an Abrams, this is a really, really good light vehicle that you do have in the game. So I really like the M8 Thunderbolt. It won't be winning battles against main battle tanks if you just keep shooting at each other, but it can go in, get out, do some damage along the way, harass an enemy, raid an enemy. It's a very, very good vehicle for its cost. Vehicles that can take it out reliably are maybe twice the cost, if not more than twice the cost, when you're thinking about the M8 Thunderbolt. So really effective vehicle. At number 3, and yes, number 3, but at number 3 is, of course, the Abrams tank. But which version of the Abrams tank? Well, from my view, any tank at the moment that doesn't have active protection better be a damn cheap affair to justify it, because active protection is so damn important against helicopters, against infantry, so you do want to have that kind of active protection. The United States has 3 Abrams that have active protection. So you have the SP V3, V2, and then the M1A1 for the Marines. They all have the trophy active protection system, and touch to armor if you want to do it. It's really big, it's really expensive, though not the most expensive tank in the game, but very survivable, has a lot of ammunition available to it, has very effective ammunition, so the V3 version is the best version, but you'll do quite well with having V2s or having Marine trophies. In fact, if you really want to go full on with armor, one of the options you can have is just go combination of armor brigade with Marines and just get a bunch of these trophies, and you can have a lot of tanks with active protection. Though it may not necessarily be the best option available to you as a player, because you are going to be losing in quite a lot of different ways with armor brigade and with the Marines as well. But still, just worth pointing it out. At number 2, it is the Stryker, but specifically the Stryker available from recon, not the Stryker available from vehicles. Let me go over the reasons why. So if we look at Stryker right here, this is the recon version, and then we can look at trophy, like we do have 2 different versions over here. And if we just switch that down right there, we do have two different versions, but what you're looking at is the ICV Javelin trophy. Cheaper, to be sure, but the RV Javelin trophy is just the better vehicle. More expensive, absolutely, but you get twice the sight range, you get the same cargo carrying capacity, the same level of protection, and even better weapons in some ways, to be sure. I mean, there can be trade-offs that you can consider, absolutely. In HMG with Javelin, MK19 with Javelin versus, versus a Bushmaster. But from my view, in the game at the moment, if I'm gonna go with a vehicle, with the Stryker vehicle, the RV Stryker, the recon vehicle Stryker, is probably the best Stryker available in the game right now. Just good amount of capacity, javelins, Bushmaster, good range on that kind of situation. Not the best carrying capacity, and you might say, well, why is an AMPV not the better vehicle? Sight range. Like, just being able to detect someone from a greater range is a very, very important factor in whether or not a vehicle is good. Because, like, yeah, it's got double the sight range versus AMPV. An AMPV is more of an armor personnel carrier with a javelin on top of it. The RV Javelin, it can also do that role, but it's really good at scouting, it's good at doing damage, it's got a bit of stealth capability, etc. So it's just flat out the better vehicle when you're comparing the two. And then at number 1 is, of course, the Bradley. But which Bradley you might be thinking about? Because if you look at the M2A4 Bradley right here with Busk-free armor, Iron Fist active protection, upgraded engine, yeah, good enough vehicle, right? 125 points, pretty cheap, pretty effective, all that. But the ultimate version of the Bradley is the recon version of the Bradley. Specifically, the M3A4 CFV. And the reason this is better is that it is more expensive by 20 points, which doesn't matter within the context from my perspective on this. But here's the benefit of the CFV. What you have is the following. You got greater sight range. You got the same level of durability on both these vehicles, to be certain, but greater sight range, a bit of extra stealth on the subject of them, but otherwise roughly the same. Except for one thing. It has 12 toes. And it's the same missile, too. So if we look at these toes, both of these are towed to Bs. You have 12 towed to Bs versus 7. One vehicle is much better than another. It will be able to detect things faster. It will be able to engage them faster. It will have a better level of protection against various vehicles. Like, I'm quite serious. If you can bring as many of these Bradley CFVs, you're probably set. Like, it might be worth investing more in these CFVs than it is in the A4 Bradley. But yeah, just a bit cheaper. Can't carry the same number of troops. Obviously, that is the downside, because you're sacrificing troop carrying capacity for those toes. But I'll be blunt. I think that capability is very, very worth it from my perspective with regards to sacrifice, even if it is more expensive. Like, this is the absolute infantry fighting vehicle that you want. And by the way, this is kind of the point about what the Bradley is meant to do in real life. Because the Bradley is not... It does have that transport capability for infantry, but mostly, very importantly for the Bradley primarily is a recon vehicle. to support tanks. And then you go into the Gulf War, and Bradley's got more kills than Abrams because those are a bastard to deal with. This is one of the reasons why, when you're looking at real-world conflicts, like Bradleys are so damn useful in a lot of different ways. Not the fastest vehicle, to be sure, like, that's one of the problems when we're thinking about IFVs, but it does have an enormous level of capability that shouldn't be ignored. Senior, signing out. Stay tuned for more.